Hello, welcome my channel. I am Jober Hussain, sleeping story creator. The first snow of December drifted gently over the small town of Hawthorne Ridge, settling in soft white sheets over rooftops, mailboxes and neatly trimmed hedges. For most families, it meant hot cocoa, holiday lights and warm laughter echoing from decorated living rooms. But for Veda Thompson, snow meant something else entirely: cold nights, empty cupboards, and another season of survival. At 17, Veda had already lived more lives than most adults ever would. Her mother had passed away when she was 12, taken by a quiet illness that doctors couldn't cure and her family couldn't afford to fight. Her father, unable to cope, drowned his heartbreak in bottles of cheap whiskey and long nights at the town's worn-down bar. What he forgot, day after day, drink after drink, was that he still had a daughter who needed him. By the time Veda turned 15, she realized she was raising herself. Their small rental house sat at the edge of Hawthorne Ridge, its siding cracked, its porch sagging. She worked evenings at the only grocery store in town, bagging groceries and pretending not to notice customers exchanging pitying looks when they recognized her last name. The money barely covered electricity and gas. Food came second, warm clothes came third. But Veda never complained. There was beauty in the world, she believed that. She just had to look harder to find it. On a biting December morning, Veda sat at the breakfast table, her breath faintly visible in the cold kitchen. Her father had come home late again. She could hear him snoring in the next room. She wrapped a thin coat around her shoulders and whispered to herself, "Just one more day, one more shift." School had become optional for her, though nobody had officially said so. Teachers noticed her absences, her exhaustion, the way she wore the same sweater every week. But they also knew her story, and sometimes knowing someone's pain makes it harder, not easier to reach out. That morning, Veda walked to school through the falling snow, her shoes soaked within minutes. She hugged her backpack tight, not because it was heavy, but because the strap was tearing and she didn't want it to fall apart before she could patch it again. At school, she passed smiling teenagers whose biggest worries were exams, college apps, or weekend plans. She didn't envy them, she just wished she had the luxury of their problems. By lunchtime, her stomach ached with the familiar hunger she had learned to ignore. She sat alone near the vending machines, pretending to do homework while others laughed around her. That's when Mrs. Harris, her English teacher, approached quietly. "Veda," she said, "I noticed you didn't take a lunch today." Veda forced a smile. "I am not hungry." "It's cold out," the teacher replied gently. "You need energy." She placed a wrapped sandwich on the table. No speech, no pity, just kindness. And that, for Veda, was worse, because kindness made her tears harder to hide. "Thank you," she whispered. That evening, after her grocery store shift, Veda stepped out into the cold night. Snowflakes danced under the street lights. She hoped the paycheck she would receive at the end of the week would be enough to cover gas before the next freeze. As she walked home, she saw a small dog shivering near a dumpster, a stray. "Hey, little one," she murmured, kneeling down. The dog had big brown eyes and trembling paws. "You're alone too, huh?" She lifted the dog gently into her arms. It didn't resist. Its fur was cold, but its heartbeat warmed her hands. "You're coming home with me." It was the first time in months that she didn't walk home alone through the dark. Her father was awake when she returned, rare for him. He sat at the kitchen table, head in his hands, an unopened bottle beside him. "Veda," he said hoarsely, "we need to talk." She froze. "I got laid off today. Factory's cutting staff."